Hey everyone, welcome back to On the Fence Movie Reviews. This is Retro Reviews. So today we're going to be talking about dystopian futures and films about people who are living under a totalitarian government and they are being submitted to certain oppressive rules. So today for the list we've got Equilibrium and V for Vendetta. Now before we get started though, I want to address the elephant in the room, and I'm not talking about Rob. I am going to be I'm going to be talking about the fact that we are not in studio, we are at our homes, and we are doing a video chat here. And for the foreseeable future, we're going to be doing this, and hopefully you guys will be able to come along with us for the ride. We're going to continue to put out videos for you. But anyway, enough chat. Let's jump right into it. Let's watch this clip from Equilibrium.
I'll do what I can to see they go easy on you.
We both know they never go easy.
Then I'm sorry.
No, you're not. You don't even know the meaning. It's just a vestigial word for a feeling you've never felt. Don't you see, Preston? It's gone. Everything that makes us what we are, traded away.
There's no war. No murder.
What is it you think we do?
No. You've been with me. You've seen how it can be. The jealousy. The rage.
A heavy cost. I paid gladly.
All right, so Equilibrium is a film starring Christian Bale and Taye Diggs, and obviously what you saw in the clip there is a film about people who are having to take this drug, emotion suppressant, and Christian Bale being one of the leading officers in this world, misses one of his drug regimens and sees how it affects him. He starts to fill, and the film goes on from there. Rob, what did you think about this film? What are your thoughts about it?
Well, Adrian, actually, I saw this film. I've seen this film, and all the other seen and saws and sodded. When this movie came out in the theater, and it came out around the time that The Matrix came out, and which kind of
about a couple of years after, 2 years after, I think.
So I didn't want to see it because I thought it was just gonna be a knockoff version of The Matrix, but. This started my love for Christian Bale, and in this movie, it's like, you know, I really enjoyed in its own way. It's a little bit not so much. I'm not gonna say sappy or kind of corny, but just the way the movie was filmed. I don't want to knock like the fighting in it. But it's very it is a little bit funny when you look at it now, because I remember watching it when it came out, and I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. This is like Dancing with Guns. And you know, you watch movies.
What did they call it in the technique they called it in the film?
It was like the gun kata or something. Yeah, gun kata.
Something like that.
So in that sense, like, you know, as far as like the action and stuff, I don't really feel like it holds up too much in like today. But by today's standards, but as far as the story, I really enjoyed the story of how, you know, Christian Bale's character, how he is the leader of kind of the police that oversee, you know, kind of making sure everyone stays in line, and then, you know, by him missing one of his doses and also meeting that woman, you know, it just kind of leads him down a road where it's like, you know, where it shows him like we need
like a road to discovery of like what it means to Bill.
And then you know, the very first, you know, before there was John Wick with the puppy, there was Christian Bale with the puppy.
I gotta be honest. I had not seen this movie, and when we were kind of brainstorming about what films we were going to cover, and you had suggested Equilibrium,
Yes.
I
You scoffed at
remember
me.
when that film came. Well, I
Yeah.
remember when that film came out, and I was like, "This looks stupid. It looks like a Matrix knockoff." So I never watched it. So when you had suggested it, I was still kind of like, I don't know. So I watched it for the very first time, and when I saw that scene with the dog, I actually started laughing out loud because he like picks up the dog and almost starts crying.
Yeah. See, and
I almost started laughing on that part. I thought that
what?
was a
What?
bit hilarious.
It was emotional for me. So before there
You're a dog
was,
person. It's
I
okay.
am. Yes, I am a dog
It's
person.
forgivable.
So just with all this stuff, kind of the trail that he starts to go down with the puppy, the woman, them finding all that art, and then also, his partner. I don't want to. If you haven't seen the movie, you should. I feel like you should see the movie, but the movie is kind of old. I don't know if we want to spoil anything, but just with his his first partner, kind of the road that he goes down and how he sees him, and
Yeah.
it's just, it
Yeah, there's
does
the
get,
flashback scenes to
yeah,
Sean Bean, right?
yeah, Sean Bean.
Yeah.
It does get you in all the feels, and it kind of does make you think like, okay, like these people are suppressing their emotions, and what the government is making them doing, and it's just, I don't know, I really enjoy this movie. Again, there are some flaws with it, as far not so much flaws at the time, but when you look back at
Yeah.
it, it is kind of corny as far as the fighting and stuff, and even like the final boss, it's not, I guess I would say, is anti-climactic,
It's not
but
as great as it could be.
yes, but for the time, and even now, I still enjoy watching Equilibrium. I don't know, what did you think,
I
Adrian?
well, I watched this film and I had quite a few laughs watching this film. It was every bit as bad as I was expecting,
Okay.
and surprising all at the same time. Here's the thing, though. I want to be fair. It was an interesting premise. I liked the idea of people living under this sort of rule, like they aren't allowed to have any sort of emotions or stuff. It kind of reminded me a little bit of George Lucas's film THX 1138, I think it is. I always get that last number mixed up, but it's very similar in that sense. So the premise is really really good, and that I like that, but it wasn't fully realized. I think that the writing and even the acting was really bad, except for Christian Bale. It was like everybody kind of
Yeah.
wasn't that good. Like, when you have all these like you're supposed to, like, my problem mainly with the film was when you're supposed to be in an emotionless society, you have your partner, the second one, Tay Diggs,
Right.
who is like smiling and almost kind of like laughing in some scenes, and it was kind of like, no, that's like expressing emotion, and it's like
Right.
the closest thing I can relate it to and compare it to, surprise, surprise, I'm a big Star Trek fan, is if you watch the original Star Trek series with Spock, Leonard Nimoy, he does an excellent job of, because that's the thing about Vulcans is they don't
Right.
exhibit emotion, and so like he does a very excellent job. So my thing was is like they didn't do a good enough job to display the emotionless world, and the film just like didn't do a very good job of world building. Like I didn't feel so much threatened by this government and by a lot of it. Was just kind of like, and I felt like somewhere in the middle there, especially during that second act, it was dragging because
Yeah.
they were trying to show Christian Bale get to this point of like little by little he's filling, but it was just dragging, man. And like what you said, when we got to the climax, I was actually laughing when he's fighting like the I forget what was it, like the president or something like
Yeah.
that, the guy who's the leader of the world, the governor or whatever, and like the way they're like kind of like twisting hands with the guns, but it goes on for like a whole minute of them just
Yeah.
spinning around and twisting hands with the guns, and I was like, it was really bad. It was really bad choreography, so to speak. Like you could tell, like they were trying to capitalize on, like someone had an idea and they said, the futuristic Matrix, that's what's hot right now. Let's do it. But I think overall, it's just I wasn't a big fan of it. Like I said,
Okay.
it was an interesting idea, but it didn't really work for me.
And I totally understand that. You know what? When I remember watching this movie, I was talking to one of my friends. Like this was years when, like maybe a year or two after it came out, and he had said that the idea was there, but they just didn't execute it well.
Yeah,
So I mean, you're pretty much echoing what my friend had said. It's the concept and everything was there, but just the execution
yeah,
didn't land. And I will agree, like I will agree with everything you said as far as all the negative things. But just for me, I guess I'm gonna put it in one of those guilty pleasure movies, especially since
it's got a soft spot in your heart.
yeah,
It's got
it does have a
Bale.
yes, it's got Bale. So I'm just like, hey, you know what? And you're right, he does. Everyone else may fall on their face in this movie, but Bale does a great job in the emotionless that he portrays in this movie. You can feel the emotion. So that's just, I mean, I feel like that's just more how good of an
Yeah,
actor he's always been.
yeah, and like I said, he was the one who was obviously trying and displaying some sort of you know emotion or lack of it, so
Yeah.
to speak. But yeah, everything else just didn't really work for me. I think he was the only saving grace if there was one in the film, but that was it.
All right. Well,
There we go. Well, for our next film in our series for today is a film called V for Vendetta, which was came out, I believe, in 2006, and it was stars Natalie Portman and Hugo Weaving as V. Let's take a look right now.
I can assure you I mean you no harm.
Who are you?
Who? Who is but the form following the function of what, and what I am is a man in a mask.
Well, I can see that.
Of course you can. I'm not questioning your powers of observation. I'm merely remarking upon the paradox of asking a masked man who he is.
Oh, right.
But on this most auspicious of nights, permit me then, in lieu of the more commonplace sobriquet, to suggest the character of this dramatis persona. Voila! In view, a humble vaudevillian veteran, cast vicariously as both victim and villain by the vicissitudes of fate. This visage, no mere veneer of vanity, is a vestige of the vox populi, now vacant, vanished. However, this valorous visitation of a bygone vexation stands vivified, and has vowed to vanquish these venal and virulent vermin, vanguarding vice and vouchsafing the violently vicious and voracious violation of volition. The only verdict is vengeance, a vendetta, held as a votive not in vain, for the value and veracity of such shall one day vindicate the vigilant and the virtuous. Verily, this vichyssoise of verbiage veers most verbose, so let me simply add that it's my very good honor to meet you, and you may call me V.
So that was Hugo Weaving and Natalie Portman, whose character's name was Evie, who just was introduced to V in that scene there. Rob, what did you think of this film?
Okay, so like you with Equilibrium, I had never seen V for Vendetta until
Okay.
just recently. And you know what? I feel like this movie does a really good job with showing how this government has taken over.
Yeah.
How they kind of have the country kind of like on the bottom of their foot, and just they have a stronghold on their country, and just I guess the corruption
Yeah.
in their government and how far it goes. And I really enjoyed Natalie Portman. Obviously is a great actress, and she does a great job. Her role playing Evie, I felt was like, you see like her progression from when she starts at the beginning of the movie to
Yeah.
where she is at the end of the movie, and her story arc is amazing. That's one thing that I will take out from this movie. Well, there's two things. One is Natalie Portman's story arc, how a drastic transformation she made from the beginning to the end of the movie, but then also Hugo Weaving. I mean, the guy's a great actor regardless,
Yeah.
but you never see his face, but you feel all of the emotion that he's portraying and
You feel
playing
all
this
the emotion
character.
and all the anger
Yes,
without
yes,
seeing a face, and I think that was, the difference between the two films. And like what you're saying, I think really was the ability to create a villain, so to speak, like creating this government, creating a backstory, and it's a world that feels lived in. And also, what was unique about this film to me was that they it's oppressive, but not a blatant oppressiveness like
yeah,
Equilibrium, where these people still have their liberties, for the most part. They can go out to the store, they can do whatever, as long as they just fall in line and don't talk bad about their government and all this other stuff. So when you see V, he's there to basically you know break the whole thing down and expose the corruption, like what you were saying. There's the corruption there as well. And so I think that was great. Hugo Weaving, yeah, we never see his face, but the way he delivers his lines and the way his lines are written so eloquently in a lot of
right.
iterations where where it just he builds and it works and it hits home. And yeah, but I don't know if there's anything else. I kind of cut you off there, but yeah.
No. That was pretty much. I mean, this movie has the story is good. Like you're saying, the subtlety, like the it wasn't an overwhelming, like the government's just overwhelming their country. It is like the subtleness of it, but then also how like uh just also the secrecy of stuff. Like I really enjoyed
Yeah,
that kind of like the behind the scenes and like the plotting and like how they did with the I don't want to give away anything, but like with the talk show host who was making jokes and stuff, and then
yeah,
some an issue happens with him, and just how they kind of all the just the secrecy of it. I feel like that was also written out really well. So the movie,
yeah.
you said it came out in 2006. To this day, I mean, I feel like it holds up really well. Just recently
Yeah, I could be
watching it.
wrong on the date, but yeah, it might be like 04, 06. One of
Okay,
the two. I think it might have been 04.
well,
Now that
still
I think about
the
it, but it's
movie,
still really good. Yeah,
yeah, the movie holds up really well
yeah.
from what I've.
The Wachowskis, and again, we were talking about Matrix,
Yeah,
and that the Wachowskis wrote this film. They didn't direct it, but they wrote the film,
right. I did
and
see that.
yeah. Yeah, and so and then they had a relationship with Hugo Weaving, who played Agent Smith from The Matrix. So so
The
again,
funny thing. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say the funny thing is like anytime I did hear V talking, I was like, he sounds an awful lot like Agent Smith. I just couldn't get Agent Smith out of my head.
Yeah, yeah, no, and again, Hugo Weaving is like one of those actors that can deliver
Yeah.
dialogue in a very amazing way. But yeah, no, and then we didn't even touch on this yet, but the action again,
Oh
when you
yeah.
compare the choreography from this film to Equilibrium, this one is it's better, and it's even better stylized because like it's just they kind of knew what they were doing. The Wachowskis knew and know how to create violence, but like stylize it in a way that
Right.
like is visually pleasing. So I really enjoyed this film. I remember watching it in theaters when it came out. I enjoyed it back then. I watched it again recently to kind of refresh my mind for this video, and yeah, it's still like what you said. It still holds up, and there's still some things that you kind of see like kind of almost going on in today's world
Yeah.
where there's always like politics and always sort of things and government cover-ups and stuff like that goes on, but it's always interesting to see that when it's portrayed in film. And yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was great. So when I compare the two films, the biggest thing is really the acting and the world building, like I said.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so
yeah,
that's
definitely.
where V got Equilibrium beat. And so I think when you compare the two, when you think about films that are kind of in the same vein, I think that's the one that kind of works a little bit better.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with you with that, especially too. I mean, not to defend my Equilibrium, but I also feel like when you get Hugo Weaving and Natalie Portman together,
Yeah,
that's great acting right there. But definitely V for Vendetta, I feel like was a better watch than than Equilibrium, but still, in my opinion, I still love Equilibrium.
You know what? We all have our guilty pleasures, and I'm not going to
Yes.
judge you for that.
Thank
So,
you.
you know, like
Thank
what
you
you
for
like,
that.
and that's totally fine.
Yes.
All right, guys. What did you think of Equilibrium or V for Vendettas? Why don't you comment down below and let us know what your thoughts were? And if you have any other sort of dystopian, totalitarian government type films that you want to kind of name drop in the comments there, and maybe we'll give them a watch and shout them out and review them later on in this channel. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at On the Fence Movie Reviews for all the behind the scenes content. And don't forget to click like, subscribe, and share.
And remember, we'll catch you on the fence.